I think touch is like the key to the whole problem, because once a person actually touches something, there's a demystification, there's a closeness, there's a kind of haptic relation to something. How do you encourage touch without instructing? And what does it mean to set up the conditions by which touch is not just permissible, but is sort of the key to unlocking the whole world? There is a really beautiful calibration that happens between us and others, and us and our environment. We adapt to the machines that are extensions of ourselves. We adapt to things like chairs, we adapt to things like escalators. We know when to step onto an escalator, we know how to step off an escalator. In the case of this work, there's a defamiliarization. So a person walks into an exhibition and they don't have any sense of what they can touch, how they can touch it, where they're moving. How do they overcome the taboo, for example, of touching something? Or how do they overcome the discomfort of becoming actually connected to physically the artwork? What happens if suddenly things that were forbidden are now welcome? We're always building mental maps. How do you enter a building? How do you walk up the stairs? What happens when the elevator's doors open? And as you pass through these locations, you're basically building a set of linkages in your mind, a picture of a larger space through these stitched together memories. I'm very interested in how this gets stitched together and how this gets undone. I think that there's a similar kind of rewriting that happens through touch. Let's say we have a chair, we pick up the chair, we move it here. That builds a sense of the weight of the chair, the location of the chair, how our action creates an effect. But what happens if we pick up the chair, we move the chair over here, and then a light far away, but still within our field of vision, starts to come down? Well, then we create a different map of the space in our mind. We're starting to learn a different set of relationships of here and there, and also a different extent of our own reach. A person who enters the sensitive machine will learn their relationship to the instruments. They'll learn that if they touch something here, they affect something there. The lights start to come down overhead, the wall shifts to the right. How do they fine-tune it? How do they fine-tune it so that they have a kind of agency over their environment? And how would that mediation actually change the environment and also change the experience of someone who's in the space observing someone else touching the environment? The role of the prototype is to create a kind of learning process whereby I then am adapting to this instrument. And that adaptation is a learning process, but it's also a tuning process. How do you actually adapt not just the body, but then the machine to the body, such that there's a kind of integration of the machine body as one world. Our idea of technology right now is really limited, increasingly limited to these screen-based devices. One of the real limits of those screen-based devices is that it greatly restricts our space of play. What happens when all of our tactile experience is condensed into a screen? That in some ways creates this very, very flattened sense of tactility. What happens if you want to understand the weight of lifting, say, a large crane through swiping your finger along a soft or a hard surface? And what happens if you want to understand a cool breeze by moving your hand across the same hard surface? There's a reduction of sensation that starts to happen and a reduction of focus so that now we don't actually allow ourselves, I think, the space to be aware of what's around us, and we don't value it in the same way. What people see when they encounter my work often feels very complete, and it's impossible to get inside it. And the reason is precisely so that there is this process of testing and probing, so that as one touches, one sees what happens. As someone else touches, one experiences changes in light levels. I don't want to get inside it by showing how each sort of physical material object comes together. I want to get inside it through an understanding of its social boundary and how it has evolved over time as a kind of temporal space of learning. How to build this awareness of the world in flux and the way that we affect the world in flux and the way others affect us in flux. I really believe in play. I think play is so important. I want to play, and I want to generate a space of play that is a space of learning. And that's it.